Hey everyone, welcome back to Doom Productions. And as most of you guys know, last week we were in Chicago doing a meetup with a bunch of other folk filmmakers. And we met up with Dan and Joel and Ed of 922 Films. We met up with Nathan and Caleb of RC Films, and then also we were there. And it was just a great opportunity for us to hang out. We got to, get to know each other as people and also get to make some fun videos together.
Yeah. And so we shot a lot of videos for them, for everyone to watch. And the first one we're going to show you today is a video that I did with Joel Dik from 922 Films. He went to film school, I went to film school, and we had a great conversation about the pros and cons of film school, things we learned, things we didn't learn, what we would have done differently. So lots of good stuff if you're questioning whether or not you should go to film school or not. So without further ado, here is our interview with Joel Dik.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Doom Productions, home of the No Budget Film School, and today we're talking with Joel Dik. Joel is a friend of ours from 922 Films. I always get that mixed up, I don't know why. Too many twos, I think. And we both have something in common, which is we both went to film school. So,
don't be jealous. Don't be jealous now.
Don't be jealous.
Yeah. No jealousy needs to be had in this room, okay?
Exactly.
No.
So we just thought it would be really interesting to discuss our experiences, things we liked, things we didn't like, things we wish we did, things we wouldn't do if we did it. So let's just get into, why did you decide to go to film school?
Yeah, I mean, it actually wasn't too much of like my idea. Actually, my parents were sort of like, okay, you need to go to school, figure out what you want to do, just go for something. And I was like, what's like the easier thing to do? I could go in math, something like, like it makes like loads of money. Why don't I go into something that makes zero money, like off the get, and something you have to really like just take years and years and years and years and years before you can ever see anything coming back. So I chose film.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
For me, it was a matter of, at a certain point, I was going to college. I had just graduated high school. I was kind of doing a year in community college. And I didn't know if I wanted to get a bachelor's degree or not. And it was one of those things where it was like, well, if I'm going to go to school, I'll have the degree, and that degree means something these days, because a diploma doesn't really mean much these days. A bachelor's degree does. So I figured, hey, might as well go to school for film. And that's really why I decided to go. Okay. And when I was there, there's a lot of things that I loved, a lot of things I didn't like. What are some of the positives that you really got out of film school? What are the things that people should know that this is what's going to be awesome about film school?
Yeah, there's a decent amount of positive. I think for me specifically as a cinematographer, a lot of the technical training is just something that you really can't get anywhere else. You can get a lot of tips and tricks about very specific things on YouTube. Yeah. When it comes to just a general knowledge of very specific how to get your exposure perfect, I felt like as a cinematographer it was huge for me. I'd say the next big thing was networking. It provides a place. Everyone's going for the same reason. You're all working together. You get used to each other, and who knows? You might work with these people in the future. And a lot of the people I ended up knowing when after going into like doing wedding stuff, I was like, yeah, I know them from school. So you get to know people, and there's a healthy level of competition there. So I feel like that helps you to strive to be better and get better as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think one of the big things for me was the film study aspect of it. I was exposed to so many movies that I had never heard of, movies that I never would have seen, movies that became some of my favorite movies. That was a huge positive for me. Getting to know people was another one, similar to you. I got to meet a lot of great people. A lot of the professors were really nice. I don't know I went to Portland State University, their film program, which has been changing over the course of the last 10, 11 years or so. And when I was there, it was kind of like the Wild West. It was constantly evolving, and you could kind of do whatever you wanted in terms of your film projects. So you were able to get away with doing a lot of really creative stuff in an environment where, they kind of didn't hold you back. They were like, go for it. And they really encouraged us to explore some really creative things.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. And also because it's Portland, which is a really kind of hip town in terms of the film scene, there's a lot of great professionals who are working there. So my professor, Matt McCormick, he's directed a lot of great movies, a lot of great music videos. He was a really great mentor of mine. What film school did you go to?
DePaul University in the state of Chicago.
And do you know what how they're perceived as a film school? Is it like a really well-renowned film school, or kind of lesser known?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been around for a crazy amount of time, but in terms of Illinois, you know, you have Northwestern University, and then like Columbia and DePaul are pretty close in terms of where they rank up. You know, that was one of the things I looked up. But I think another aspect of filmmaking that I think, in terms of going to school for specifically, that you sort of touched on a little bit, is having this. No, you don't really care about failure, because that's such a huge thing when it comes to any type of art, but specifically film, because you have so many of these things that go in together. The amount of work it takes to get any project off the ground, just the ability to fail and just know that it doesn't matter, because people are going to tell you why you failed, and that's going to help you move forward. And something about the construct of film school where it's just so safe, you just feel so safe to fail. I feel like it's very hard to get in other places.
Exactly. It's a really safe place to fall, but be supported by teachers, colleagues, other students who are struggling and learning just as you are. It's a great place to really just not be afraid and just try whatever you want. What is something that you think people should expect from film school? Like, if someone was going to film school, what do you think something that you wish you had heard going into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest, and DePaul was actually pretty good at this specifically, but the amount of theoretical learning you're doing is, I feel like, a little too focused on, because it's hard to know what you're going to go into. Obviously, I wanted to go into cinematography specifically, and there's a couple, I took, I think, 2 cinematography classes specifically, but you need so much foundation to get to that point that you've had so much theoretical training that I feel like I learned more making chlorine in the long con with Dan than I did at my 2 years of full film classes, at DePaul. So it's something where, as a cinematographer, the practical training, which I got a lot less of in film school, never compared. So don't expect you're just going to film school and just every single day you're shooting something. Most of the time you're not. Most of the time you're just, okay, well, what if this, what if that? And a lot of that sometimes is watching films, which is really important. You can learn a heck of a lot from watching the masters before you. But know that you're not just going there to shoot every single day.
That's definitely a thing that I think you should be aware of. Before you pick a film school, ask yourself, do you need the technical training? If you do, pick a school that's going to give you that hands-on experience, because there's a lot of film programs out there that are film schools and film studies programs, but it's all theoretical. Maybe there's a couple of production courses a part of their program, but it's really focused on film studies, not so much on filmmaking. Mine was kind of a hybrid of the two, which has since changed how they do it, and because it's been an evolving process of how they've developed their program. But I think it was a good, healthy balance of both. What are some things that you didn't enjoy about film school, or things that you didn't care for as much?
It's interesting, because some of the classes where you did do the hands-on projects and you were just, hey, go out and make something. There were just, the limitations were so weird to me that I felt like there was no reason for them. Like they would put very specific. I remember there was one specific class I had. It was like, you have to make a film specifically that has this exact climax to it, and I was like, what? Like you're the specific. I have to make it specifically to this certain climax. It made no sense to me. I get that sometimes limitations are really good and help you learn and accelerate your learning process. But I don't know. Some of the classes, the limitations they gave you were just crazy. It seemed like they were nonsensical. Maybe this was like a Mr. Miyagi, the wax on, wax off thing where no one knows the reason behind it, and maybe I have this secret gift that I've only been given because there was this specific climax that I was forced to do. But I don't know. A lot of it seemed just random. Arbitrary.
Random rules. Yeah. I definitely understand that. I think for me, a big part of film school, I mean, everybody knows this is a huge obstacle for some people, is the cost. And it was a lot of money. And if you're going to put that money into something, I think you should get something out of it. And while the knowledge and experience was very, very fun, I feel like because the program was constantly changing, I was not set up to be prepared to enter the film industry. I wasn't given practical advice on how to break into the film industry. Essentially, I left school with kind of it being drilled into my head that what you need to do is get a movie into a film festival, and that was it. I didn't get any advice on how to get a job as a PA or get on a film set. I didn't get any kind of career options. Now, granted, some of that is probably on me. I should have been seeking that stuff out. But I think there was just kind of, at this specific program, I feel like in general, it wasn't focused on getting you a job. It was just focused on teaching you how to make movies, necessarily. And again, some of that's on me, but I feel like some of that should be on the school to teach you, hey, like if you're going into this field, here are some different avenues of where you can look for work. Here's how to find work as a grip or a cinematographer or all that kind of stuff. But of course, the film industry is it's a jungle. There's no one way into it, so I understand why it is kind of a tricky thing. But that is definitely something I wish I had more of in film school. And something I wish I did more, actually, more on me, is I did meet a lot of new cool people, and I did get to network, but I really didn't become close with any of them.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Same.
I made movies with Ethan and my friends and kind of my circle, and we kind of expanded our circle, and people knew about us, but I really didn't collaborate a whole bunch with other filmmakers, and I kind of regret that because I feel like I missed out on some great opportunities to connect and work with people and build those relationships. So if you're going to go to film school, I would highly recommend actually working with classmates. I know it's scary to meet new people. I'm definitely a more timid and shy person, especially in those classroom settings. But just do yourself the favor, because you never know in 5 years when you're out of school, someone might remember you and think of you for a job if you're looking to get into the industry. And it could change your life, or it could give you the break that you need. Is there anything that you wish you did in film school?
Yeah, it's pretty similar in terms of I wish I would have held on to some of the relationships I had. It's tough because before I even went to film school, I did a lot of video stuff, with Dan
same here.
Our group of friends. So I got so used to that style of making films that when I had to sort of learn a different way of doing it, the correct way, and of course I'm putting that in quotes for because a lot of that doesn't have to be true all the time, but because that's what it was, seeing that difference of how you go ahead and make it the right way, it was a little off-putting. It was a little off-putting, and to sort of bring that to the full extent of where I want to go with it. Another of the biggest problems with film school is that correct way, because I sort of already had an idea that, hey, I want to do independent film. That was something I went into film school with, and if you're going to, just for anyone out there, if you're going to go to film school and you have an idea that you want to do independent beforehand, don't be surprised if people start laughing at you. People say, okay, well, that's not the right way to do it. You're going to fail. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Film school most likely is connected to the film industry. And so they have incentive to tell you that there's one way to do it. And that way is to go to festivals, that are connected to Hollywood, go to LA, that's the place where things are made. And I'm not saying that's not the wrong thing to do. It can be the thing that works for you. But if you really have a passion for independent film and releasing films on your own and learning by doing things on your own, not on a set with a bunch of people that have, are connected to all these organizations where you really don't have any creative control, that's the stuff you learn specifically about that is basically going to try to dissuade you away from being independent.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a shock, and I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And I wish I had known that going in so that I could have known which pieces of information were really going to be important for me as an independent filmmaker going forward, and which things to not, understand but not really apply or put too much importance on.
Something that's so important in filmmaking in general is business and marketing. And just being a good business person. And that's something I think is totally lacking with most film programs. They don't teach you the business side of things at all. But I think grant writing would be a great course to take. I think how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, that would be another great one. Just the business of the film industry, I think, would be really great. Now you could say, well, why didn't you just double major in business or minor in business? And it's like, hey, that's a good point. But I think film students should be aware that it's not all about the creative side of things. It's also about a business.
Oh, yeah.
And how to sell yourself,
Yep.
how to market yourself, and just how do you get money from people to make your dreams come true and all that.
Yeah, and it depends on if you're going to go into the Hollywood system. The reason why the Hollywood system is a thing is you don't. If you get in, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
You're a part of a system that already makes money. If you're going to do it independently, however, you do need to know how to get all of those things figured out. How are you going to market your film? Do you market at the end of your film, or do you market while making your film?
Yeah.
A lot of those discussions don't get talked about in film school because the assumption is you're just going to go into a system that already makes money. You don't have to worry about it. I think that's really, an important thing to focus on.
Yeah.
There's more that goes into filmmaking, and it actually extends into creativity. I feel like a lot of creatives, especially in the independent film world, think that the creativity stops with the artwork. Once the final frame of your film is done, it's like, I don't have to be creative anymore.
Exactly.
No, you have to be creative in marketing your work.
Yeah.
How are people going to see this? How are eyes going to be drawn to this work? Especially if you're going to be releasing it on YouTube, a free platform, Amazon. Even if it's on a paid site that could still bring you views, you still have to figure out how you're going to get people on that site to watch your content.
Exactly, and that's something that I think us, the 922 channel and the Doom Productions channel, I think that's something we've learned along the way of marketing our movies, because I'm not sure if you had this experience, but in film school, it was promote the crap out of your movie, drop it, and then never talk about it again. Because that's how it is in the theatrical window. But that doesn't apply to the online market. So what you got to do, what we've all done, I think pretty successfly, is you drop the movie, then promote it a whole bunch afterwards. That's how you get people to watch your stuff. And there's just little things like that. And that's nothing, I think that's probably something we all stumbled upon, just trying things out with marketing and trying to be good business people and all that in filmmaking. So there's a lot of stuff that film school will teach you, a lot of stuff they won't teach you. And you kind of have to be your own self-advocate and strive to learn things all the time. I think we're running a little bit, we're getting a little fat video here, but let's wrap it up with this question, which is kind of a big one.
Okay.
I think we probably have similar experiences with that. We're probably both glad we went to film school, but there are things we liked, things we didn't like. But if someone was to ask me, why should I go to film school? What would you say to them?
Why should I go to film school?
Why should someone go to film school? Yeah.
My biggest thing is, are you self-motivated or not? I think that's the biggest question. Because working with Dan has taught me that you don't have to go to film school to make films. I'm not going to say this is for everyone, but for me, I'll just be honest with you, I'm not a self-motivated person. Meaning I can't just wake up and say, I'm motivated to just go and make a film and do everything. Yeah. No, I definitely needed the outside pressure of, you need to do this, you need to learn this. So if you're truly self-motivated, I would argue that the money is better spent on your first projects. And I would say use it wisely, don't use all of the money on that. But yeah, just save that money, make projects. You learn the most by making. And if you're self-motivated, all the information you need is on YouTube. Seriously, all of it is. However, if you're not self-motivated and you need that structure, go to film school. I did it. I still don't regret it. I would go back. If I had to do it over again, I still would go to film school because I needed to get that motivation from an outside source. And that would sort of be my rubric of if you should go or not.
I totally agree. And for me, I am definitely a very self-motivated person. And I went to film school. And something I wish I'd done, a reason I think people should go is if it's it's an investment, right? Because you're spending a lot of money to go. So make sure that with that investment, you're getting a return on that investment, whether that's the technical skills, whether that's the knowledge of the industry, whether that's networking, whatever you're spending this money for, make sure you get that worth from it. For me, I don't think I got practical knowledge from that investment. And if I were to go back, I would focus more on that rather than just the creative side of things. But I'm still happy that I went. There's some things, obviously, I wish I'd learned, but that's just my advice to you. If you're gonna spend that much money, make sure you are gonna get what you want out of it. And make sure that you can, whatever, the film school is gonna have its limitations, but make sure you're doing everything you can do to make the most out of your education. Because if you're a bad student, you're not going to learn anything. So ultimately, you have to study and do all the work and put the hard work in.
Yeah, you do have to put the work in. And I would say if you're going to film school for a piece of paper and you think that piece of paper is going to get you access to something, you are not going to film school for the right reasons, and it gets you absolutely nothing. You might as well burn it in a fire because it means absolutely nothing. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. And with that semi-depressing note, but educational nonetheless, note, that is it for today. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. You can find Joel's work on the 922 Films channel. Make sure to like and subscribe this video. Subscribe to them. They make awesome stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.
Peace.